What's up, Nio family? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tesla SPY, and the overall market. I'm also going to talk about some things that Jerome Powell said and what you should be watching for as time goes on. Just know that I'm not a financial planner, so make sure you take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. Anyways, as far as NIO goes, we are range bound going back and forth between these levels. I know this may sound kind of annoying when I say this because, it's very boring. A lot of people hope that we see a big explosive move one day or another. But right now, we're just completely stuck. We're just going back and forth between these levels. Now, looking at the way that the chart saw a pump and then ended up dipping, there's going to be a risk of us coming back down towards this support at 4.3 before we see a bounce again. And for now, I'm not really seeing much on the chart until we officially break one of these levels. So if we lose 4.3, we come down to fill this gap back down to about 4.16. If we managed to break past 4.8, we're looking for a pushback up for essentially for the $5 area. Otherwise, we're just range bound. So I want to make that very, very clear. Now, as far as NIO goes, there's been a lot of talk about how NIO is trying to develop an AI robot within the car. And that's one of the important things about Nomi. That is going to be like a virtual assistant. And I think that's very, very cool stuff. They're also talking about how they're going to continue to expand it, at least in different areas. And it could be used in a lot of different ways when driving for lots of assistance. It's supposed to be like a butler slash buddy. So it's very cool stuff. This is what Nomi looks like. And I think that's very, very cool for cars to be incorporating this. So cool stuff for NIO. It's getting a lot of attention for that. For the broader markets, we didn't really see much come out. We saw all the data very close to expectations when it comes to ISM services. Then we saw Jerome Powell give a speech today. He helped pump the markets. For tomorrow, we just have initial jobless claims in the morning, an hour before market open, and that's pretty much it. Jerome Powell continued to insist that the stock markets, not the stock market, sorry, the economy is in a very, very good position. Things are looking very, very well so far. And he said that they were expecting things to be a little bit worse back in September for how things are looking, but things were better. He mentioned the fact that the labor market is holding up very well and the risks are diminishing. And the Fed is going to, of course, be very cautious with what they do because first off, they can't just cut like crazy, right? They can't just cut and think everything will be normal. They have to be careful with how fast they cut and how fast they don't cut. So in essence, they're just going to try to keep that balance aligned. That's what he was trying to say. It's not because things are bad. It's more like because, at least this is what he claimed. He claimed that because things are looking good, they have to be cautious just to maintain what's going on so far. They want to be cutting at a very, very nice rate in a way that's not too fast or not too slow. And that's what he was trying to say. So with him saying that, we actually saw the chance of us getting a 25 basis point cut go up to about 78.1%, which is a good piece of news. And then on top of this, we had a couple of earnings. We had Chewy and Dollar Tree announcing earnings. Dollar Tree did well, beating on EPS and revenue, despite the fact that their CFO and CEOs may step down. And then Chewy, on the other hand, ended up missing on earnings, which is why we saw it dip a little bit. Sales beats, but they missed on EPS. Besides that, we have the fear and greed index currently at greed. That's making up the majority of sentiment. Momentum is also at extreme greed. The reason for that is because there's still a lot of buyers who are stepping in, and there's no sign of a rejection quite yet. So for tomorrow, I think that NIO is showing some weakness here. There might be a risk of us dipping closer to about the 4.3 to 4.4 area. We might just consolidate for now. Until we see one of these levels break, it's completely stuck. It's been like this for the last couple of weeks. So we're waiting to see what it's going to do. It's going to be getting a much bigger move, however, as we approach the end of the year. I believe that once we see this head and shoulders like structure complete, there's going to be a big move with our earnings, not to mention deliveries. So we're waiting for that. Until then, we're going to likely just be range bound for the time being. Now, I'm going to go through a speed run for the rest of these. SPY is bullish. We could be approaching the 608 area. If that breaks, we're looking for 609. We look bullish unless we end up losing 605. We turn back down to 604, then 602.5. So watch those levels. Right now, we look more bullish. We're favoring upside. This could continue to uptrend and try to push up higher for new all-time highs. But then the higher we go, the more risky it becomes because once we hit those highs, we could reject. So look for some upside tomorrow morning on SPY, and we'll see if we get a rejection near that 609 area. ES looks more bullish. We're approaching 6,100. We could try to break a little bit above that to 6,120, but we'll see if we get a rejection between 6,100 and 6,120. So give it some time. We still remain more bullish. Nvda looks more bullish with a nice inverse head and shoulders. We could be pushing for approaching or approximately 147.5. I think this might push a little bit higher, and we'll see if we get a rejection from that resistance. Bitcoin looks like it's going to be testing 99,000. If that breaks, we're going to get closer to about 99,500. I don't think it's done quite yet, so just be careful, and we'll see how we end up reacting to resistance. Tesla has a cup and handle like structure. We're going to be looking for an attempt to get up to 360. We'll see if that breaks or not, but look for some upside and see what kind of reaction we get. Look for a push in the morning. We'll see how it goes. NQ looks like it's going to be testing 21,500. We'll see if we continue to push from here. If we lose that, we could be returning back down to 21,425. So we'll see if we get a pullback from here or not, but just know that there's going to be a tough resistance. For the QQQ, we pushed very nicely to this resistance. We could retest 524, and we'll see if we end up turning back down for 520. But overall, we're doing a pretty good job, at least thus far. For Aapl, we're range bound right here. We're going to be looking at 244 as our resistance. Then we have this main support down here around this 240.5 area. 244 is kind of tough, so we could grab liquidity there and start dipping lower towards 242.5 or below. So give this more time to develop. For others out there, we have the IWM Russell 2000 that's range bound between 240 and 242. It's showing some weakness. This might dip to 240 flat. If that fails us, we're looking for 238. Coin looks a little bit more bullish. We are at some tough resistance right here at 332. We might push a little bit higher. If that breaks, we're looking for 340 as our target. So look for a little bit more upside, and we'll see if we turn back down afterwards. Overall, it's doing a good job and has more upside potential, but watch and see how well we hold above 330. Amazon could try to retest 220 before it dips back down, so give that some time to develop. Meta could retest this resistance at 615 before it turns back down for 608. Microsoft looks more bullish. We're going to be looking for a retest of 440, so a little bit more upside, and we'll see if we get a rejection off that or not. And then Google, last but not least, it's holding up very nicely above 175. If 176 breaks, we're looking for 178, and we'll see if we reject off that or not. But anyways, that is it for my video. I thank you all so much for listening, so please have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. I will be back with another video tomorrow, so until then, take care, guys, and make sure you watch your levels. My view of the market is we're looking bullish. We could push a little bit more, but be careful the higher we go, because it's now becoming very risky as the market's just pumping without any sort of pullback. So it could be coming soon. For NIO, it's just range bound between 4.3 and 4.9. So we're stuck within a range. I anticipate we might dip a little bit for about 4.3 before it tries to bounce again, but we're just range bound for the time being. By the end of the month, this will break out of the range. I think this could see a big bounce depending on how things end up going. So we'll see what happens with NIO Day, not to mention more data, especially when they announce deliveries and such. So get ready for all of that. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. Have a good day, night, or evening, wherever you guys are around the world. And once again, I'll see you guys tomorrow after market close. Don't forget that for tomorrow, we have initial jobless claims in the morning, which is very minor data, and then we'll see what happens after that. Anyways, thank you and peace out.